everybody. Jeff Cowan here from Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk, and I'm back with a new edition of my podcast entitled Right Service, Write Your Own Paycheck, the path to making over $100,000 a year when working as a service advisor in the automotive industry. You know, at this very recording, there are just under 21% of you doing just that, making $100,000 a year or more. But you know what that means? That nearly 80% of you are not. So what are we going to do about that? Well, I think you should do what I always recommend you do, and that is keep watching my podcast. Go to my website at automotiveservicetraining.com. Read the articles there, the blogs, and look at all the other tools we have there. And between all of that, you'll find the tools, the word tracks, the processes, the techniques you need so you can maximize the opportunity, be the best of the best, and put yourself on the path to making over $100,000 a year or more. Hey everybody, welcome back. Boy, this podcast, it just keeps growing in audience. We have hundreds, and actually we have thousands and thousands of you watching now. And today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I think I got a cool message for you. I've been in a series of meetings here recently, and I've told a couple of stories, and a lot of you reached out and said, man, you should take those two stories and you should turn them into a podcast because I think our service advisors need to hear them. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, this first one evolved from a question that I got, and I get it at nearly every workshop that I'm at, but I got it recently at a workshop, and it came from a lady, and here's what the question was. And I've gotten the same question hundreds of times, but here's what the lady said. She said, Jeff, I've been an advisor for only 2 weeks, and my business owner sent me here to get your training so I could have the best opportunity, the best tools, and I appreciate that. But I want to ask you a question. I was a server at a national chain restaurant the last several years, and I made $30,000, about $30,000 a year. You know, they've told me about all these financial opportunities, but you've been in the business a long time. You've worked with thousands of advisors, hundreds of businesses, thousands of businesses. What are the real opportunities for somebody like me who was a server making $30,000? Now, here's what I told her. I gave her the quick answer because there's really two answers to this. Well, you know, I don't know what they told you, but here's the facts. The average service advisor out there today is making $70,000 to $75,000 a year, which means they're in the top 15% of income earners in the United States of America. Just under 20% of the people doing the job are making $100,000 or more, putting them in the top 6% of income earners in the United States of America. So if they give you those numbers are real. I can document it. You can make it too, and you should be able to make that type of money somewhere between $70,000 and $100,000 your very first year. But I told her, I don't want you to just think about that. I want you to think long term because I want to share with you what I've seen literally tons and tons of service advisors do in the same situation. So let's break this down here. Let's be real conservative. You said that you were making $30,000 a year. So I'm going to assume at $30,000 a year that you were making your commitments. You were paying your car payment, your rent, your kids were fed, and you were getting by, right? So now you're in a position where if you come in on the low side of what an average service advisor makes, that's $70,000. Okay, so let's think about that for a second. $70,000 went from $30,000 to $70,000. That's an additional $40,000 a year. You've literally more than doubled your potential. You more than doubled your income and your lifestyle if you choose to do that. But here's what I would recommend you do that other service advisors have done, many. That $30,000 we know you can live off of. So you're making more money. We want you to take some of it. So when you take that extra $40,000 you got and divide it by 2, we're going to take $20,000 and add it to your $30,000 and ask you to live off of an annual salary of commissions of $50,000 a year, nearly doubling your lifestyle. You now have $20,000 left over of that $70,000. That $20,000 after taxes, you're going to have $10,000 left. All right, you follow me? Okay. So what I have seen many advisors do is take that $10,000 and put it in the bank. I'm going to recommend you do the same thing because 10 years from now, you would have free and clear $100,000 sitting in the bank, and during that 10 years, you've lived off of an income of $50,000 a year. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you sitting there watching this today know somebody 10 years older than you that have had that type of income and have $100,000 free and clear sitting in the bank? With a good accountant, it could easily turn into $150,000. How many people do you know that are in that situation? You can be in that situation. Now, that is if you come in and you hit the low side and make $70,000. Let's take this to the high side and say you come in your first year or any of these years and you make $100,000 a year. Follow this math. You were making $30,000. You're paying your house payment, your rent, you're paying your car payment, your kids are fed, so you're getting by, right? So now you're making $100,000. That's a $70,000 a year increase. Now, I think you should be rewarded for that. So do like hundreds of advisors have done. Take that 30, Take that extra 70,000, divide it by 2, that's 35,000. Take the 35,000, add it to your 30. You're now going to live off of your commissions of 65,000 a year. You've doubled your livelihood. You've doubled your lifestyle. Okay. Now, what are you going to do with the remaining 35,000? Is you're going to take the taxes out. You now have somewhere about right around 17,500 a year. You're going to put that in the bank every year for 10 years. So that means 10 years from now, after you've lived off of an income of $65,000, which is more than what most people live off of, you've now got, after 10 years of putting $17,500 in the bank, $175,000 free and clear sitting in the bank. With a good accountant, they could easily turn that into $250,000. I want to ask you a question just like I did before. How many people do you know right now that are 10 years older than you that lived off of that type of income and have that kind of money, $175,000 or more sitting in the bank, free and clear? That's what you could have. That's what the opportunity is. But it only comes to those who get out of bed every day with the sole desire of being better than they were the day before. They're dedicated to their craft. And they understand their craft isn't working the computer, it's not knowing parts and all that stuff's important. They understand that what they're paid to do is handle customers and be a sales professional. And so they surround themselves with people that have those skills, and they educate themselves with that. Now, if you're lucky enough where you work at a company and they supply training to you, that not just the computer and product knowledge stuff that the factory, that junk they put out, but true sales training, true customer handling skills, then lucky you. You've got everything you need. But if not, then you need to invest in yourself. Now, here's what's great about this. I don't mean to sound like a commercial, but at Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk, I've got training for the individual. If you're working for a company that doesn't supply it, starting at $197, I can get you our training program and put you on the path to making $100,000 a year. Because if you're not making somewhere between $70,000 and $100,000 a year doing that job right now, you're failing. And for the business owners and service managers out there, if you want your team to have these type of opportunities, be the best, because if they're doing that, then you're doing better as well, then you need to supply them with this opportunity. And we have training set up for businesses as well. But again, if you're an advisor, and so if your people are making that kind of money already, then great. But if they're not, then just like I told advisors, you're failing as a manager or business owner, because that's the type of numbers they should be doing. And we have training both for the business and we got it for the individual. So, and I also want you to keep this in mind. When you make that kind of money, here's what the average service advisor has as a lifestyle. I mean, think about this stuff here. Average service advisor has a home that's 2,500 square feet that sits on 1.3 acres of land. They drive a car that's worth $45,000 or more. If they're married and their spouse works outside the house, you add another 1,000 square feet to it in a second car of greater or equal value, right? You get 2 weeks paid vacation and a benefit package that rivals some of the biggest industries out there. So when you step into this new year here, that's the opportunity you have. You know, you can't rely on your past success. You got to get out of bed every day with the sole intent of being better than you were the day before, so you can hit these numbers and live the life you so deserve. Because if you're not hitting those numbers doing this job, you're failing. You're failing. Okay. So they wanted me to tell that story based off that question, and then there's another story they wanted me to tell. And I think it ties right into this. Now, before I get into this, I want to be real clear about something. I work really, really hard to be humble. I know where I come from. I know where I come and all that stuff, and so I really work hard to be very, very humble. I don't like to brag, and I don't like to be pretentious. This next story is probably going to make me sound like I'm pretentious and I brag a lot, but I really don't. If you knew me very well, you know that to be a fact. But a question I get asked a lot, because I'm told I'm a great storyteller in the workshops and stuff, is people like for me, you know, hey, share success stories with us in the service advising field. When you know, and share success stories that you've had being in the automotive industry. Jeff, when did you feel like you knew you were successful, and what's some things that make you realize that you are successful, right? And so, in answer to that question, there are literally tons of stories I could tell to answer that, but there's one I want to share with you that I really think drives a really cool point, you know, because I think that a lot of times service advisors aren't successful because they don't believe in themselves. You know, they think that because they maybe don't have a college degree, or they were raised on this side of town or that side of town, or their background, or they're too old or too young, that they can't have these things. And I think the story is going to tell you that you can. About 6 or 7 months ago, you know, we just came out of this big election that was it divided America very much so, and so people were on one side of the aisle or the other. And if they were for this guy or that guy, they were for this guy or that guy, and they dug their heels in. So about 6 or 7 months ago, I was on one of these online chat rooms, I guess you call it, where a bunch of neighbors, you know, there are a few hundred people in there, and we were just talking about things, and it didn't take long for it to come around to politics. Well, when you start talking about politics with anybody, it gets heated very quickly. And it didn't take more than 3 or 4 back and forths between some people before one of these guys jumps out who's trying to make a point, and he is about as pretentious as it gets. And here's what he says. I'll paraphrase it. Well, I don't know about where you get your information from, but I want to let you know that I went to college for 12 years. I have 3 degrees, and I'm a PhD. And so what he was saying was his opinion should count more because he went to school for 12 years, has 3 degrees, and a PhD. Well, it just struck me wrong. I just thought that was just bullshit. So here's what I typed back. Sir, my name is Jeff Cowan, and I live just 3 streets over from you in this very, very nice neighborhood, and I want to let you know something. I think first you should be very proud of those 12 years of college. You should be very proud of those 3 degrees, and you should be outstandingly proud of having a PhD. Those are quite accomplishments. Again, not repeating myself, but you should be proud of those. But I want to point something out. I didn't go to college. I walked out of high school and I had nothing, literally just the clothes on my back. And I went to work. Never stepped a day in college. I never got a degree, never had the college loans or any of that stuff. I just went to work and I found a profession, a selling profession, and I got into that and I dug my heels in with one single goal every day: get out of bed and be better than I was yesterday. And that's what I've done for the last 3+ decades. And you know what? Never having spent a dime on school, not one school loan, not any years, not any days. Here we all these years later, just a high school education, and after having gone to the Higher School of Knox, and I'm your neighbor. So why do I tell that story that could make me look pretentious? Because I think it's what a lot of you need to hear. It doesn't make a difference what side of town you grew up on. It doesn't make a difference what town you grew up in. It doesn't make a difference how old you are, how young you are. It doesn't make a difference whether you're a man or you're a woman. It doesn't make a difference whether you're Caucasian, African American, Asian, or anything. And none of that stuff makes any difference at all. All that makes a difference here is that you find something that you enjoy and that you love so much that you want to be the best you can be. And so your sole goal every day when you get up, or one of your biggest goals every day when you get up, is to be better than you were yesterday. If you dedicate yourself to the craft of handling customers and selling, and that's what a service advisor does, the world is yours. You can have everything that anybody else has, whether you have a college degree or not. Now, I'm not bashing college because I think college is great. I think there's people out there that should go to college, and I think that there's people out there that do very well in college. But there's also just as many, if not more people just like me, I'm living proof of it, that it makes no difference where you come from. Again, repeating myself, if you just sink your teeth in to being the best professional salesperson you can be and the best at handling customers, and get out of bed every day with your biggest goals being to be better than you were yesterday, you can have everything that they have. I'm living proof of it. So stop giving excuses. Stop resting on past successes. Stop blaming everybody else. Look in the mirror and say, I want it, and I'm going to dedicate myself to it, and I'm going to get up, and I'm going to go do it, because if everybody else can do it, and people like Jeff Cowan can do it, I can too. And you know what? I believe you're right. I think you can too. So if you work in a place and they're providing the tools for you, great. And even if they are, as an individual, you need to invest yourself. And whether you're a business or an individual watching this, I have the training programs on so many different levels that can help you accomplish these goals and make you the absolute best of the best, so you can maximize the opportunity and have complete and total and absolute success and live the lifestyle that you deserve. Hey, my name's Jeff Cowan. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. If you have any questions about it, dial in anytime at 1-800-248-2931. Anybody that answers that phone can answer any of your questions about this podcast or any of our training programs. You can also go to automotiveservicetraining.com, automotiveservicetraining.com. Check us out there. You want to talk to me directly? Here's my cell phone number, 317-506-1003, 317-506-1003. Text, email me, call me. If I'm available, I will immediately respond. But most of the time, it takes me 24 hours to get back because I travel a lot. I do a lot of workshops, writing, filming, and the like. I'm a busy guy, but if you reach out, I will reach back. With that, this is Jeff Cowan signing off. So between now and next time, God bless you all. Take care, and I'll see you soon.